Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the WCPO High School Insider podcast. I'm your host, Mike Dyer. Here we are, Week 11, the start of the Ohio High School football playoffs. 54 Greater Cincinnati teams are beginning the road to Canton this Friday night, and we're going to have all the coverage for you, especially on the Friday Night Frenzy. And be sure to stay with us through WCPO.com, WCPO 9 Sports. We'll have all the bases covered for you. But make sure you check out a few of the stories I had from this past weekend on WCPO.com, and a story about the Sagers family. If you're familiar with high school football officiating, John Sagers and his son Bobby had a unique opportunity at Roger Bacon during Week 10. And then Winton Woods coach Chad Murphy, he led the Warriors to a 10-0 record for the first time in program history, and he did that on Friday night, just 4 days after his father, Mike Murphy, passed away. So certainly a story of inspiration there, and how the players and coaches and community there at Winton Woods rallied to support Coach Murphy. Also, our WCPO 9 Player of the Week feature is about Williamsburg Junior quarterback J.J. Miller, and make sure you check out my story about J.J. and how he has really helped a younger student in the district. Something goes beyond football, and I think makes everybody proud there, especially with Coach Nick Ayers and everything the Wildcats are doing as they prepare for a Division VI first-round game this Friday as well. Our WCPO 9 football game of the week is going to take us to Fairfield Alumni Stadium as St. Xavier takes on Fairfield. This is an 8-9 matchup, and certainly we'll have all the bases covered for you. Before that game, we'll have a pregame segment on Friday. Marshall Kramsky and I will be out there early for that coverage, the first playoff matchup between those two programs since 2017. But first, one last look back at the regular season finale. It was a memorable one for sure out at Madeira High School, as a big matchup between two undefeated teams, Wyoming and Madeira. And Wyoming extended its regular season game win streak to 67 games, believe it or not. And the Cowboys defeated Madeira 23-7. We had WCPO 9 photojournalist Philip Lee out there covering the game for us, and he caught up with Wyoming coach Aaron Hancock after the game.
I don't think that the outside world realizes how much these kids work and this coaching staff works every single week. And they make it they think that it's easy to just kind of continue to win each and every week in the regular season for as long as we have. I'm going to tell you right now, these kids grind it out. And there's been a lot of close games in that run, and we're going to keep it running, man. And the thing about it is our kids just buy into our program. They buy into the philosophy of getting better every single day. And we grow and grow from it each and every year. And a lot of these kids, they're subbing in as juniors and as sophomores, and then they get their opportunity. They have varsity experience already, and we just continue to excel. I'm awfully proud of this program, awfully proud of this football team, and awfully proud of our coaching staff and the community support that we had today.
Well, I definitely want to mention a side note to that game. May not be a side note, actually. It was one of the featured storylines of the game. Is senior running back C.J. Hester rushed for a school record 351 yards for the Cowboys. He also had a touchdown as well, but most significantly, obviously, Wyoming, another undefeated season, but C.J. Hester, a Western Michigan commit, joins the OHSA's career rushing yards list. He now has 5,986 yards rushing in his outstanding career, and the Cowboys getting ready to take on Waverly this Friday night. This is the 10th consecutive playoff appearance for Wyoming, so certainly a number one seed for back-to-back seasons, and the Cowboys are primed for a deep playoff run. But before I go any further with this episode, I want to remind you this High School Insider podcast is presented by our local Chick-fil-A restaurants, where the winning play is always chicken. Start your day tomorrow with a fresh, warm breakfast. Well, I'm going to switch gears here now to Division I, Region 4, and one of the better storylines of this postseason is going to be Oak Hills. The Highlanders are the number 13 seed and play at Springboro on Friday night. After going 0-11 in 2021, this is the best record for Oak Hills since 2013. Had a chance to catch up with Oak Hills coach Justin Roden this week, and he gave his honest assessment of the Highlanders this season.
Goodness, we're a weekly heart attack. This is the best record for us, obviously, since 2013, I believe. Program that's had 3 over seasons, I think, in the last 5 or 6 years. So I think if I like anything, I love the fact that they are resilient, scrappy. We don't have a kid on this team with a single, offer as far as playing at the highest level of college football. So I don't think our kids care in regard to who they play against. I think they're just excuse me. I think they're just scrappy and resilient, and I think that's the other piece that I want to, mention. And a lot of times when you're in a program that's not had success, kids kind of, I don't want to say turn on you, but they find excuses. And this is not an excuse making group. This is a scrappy group, especially our seniors. Our seniors want to leave here, with a legacy that, that they're the group that's turning things around. Our program this year, our front 9-1, our JV went 6-4, and varsity was 5-5, and we had 2 great levels at the middle school. So as a total program, I'm proud to say that it's a winning program. And I think more than anything else, I think those seniors and this team take a great deal of pride in that piece that, this year is a year of wins. And around here, when you've had some of the poor seasons that we've had, it's nice. It makes going to school every day and being out and about in the community a whole lot easier when people are congratulating you on wins and making the playoffs. So long way around it. It's a good group. It's a good group of kids.
Well, just a bigger picture question for you. You were 0-11 last year. What do you attribute the big turnaround to this season?
Honestly, I think the great start for us is really important. But as far as the program as a whole getting back to 5-5, even though we were 0-11 last year, the kids didn't. You didn't have that toxic culture where you felt like that you couldn't win games. We had a lot of games last year where we were in the game. We just, we were short numbers. We were constantly fighting either a COVID issue or an injury. So I think going into the off season, we did a fantastic job. It's kind of a broken record, but our weight room strength has just been fantastic. Our administration here has been committed to, finding time for the kids to get in the weight room and making their schedules work for them. Our other sports, Coach Price and Greg Lurk, our baseball coach, it's a good group that wants to see the school excel in athletics. So we don't quite have that selfishness. So getting, a good mutual working relationship with the other sports and guys getting stronger and becoming more athletic, really for us has been tremendous because we do have a great deal more depth than we've had in previous years, and guys have gotten hurt. We've just, typically fallen off the face of the earth, but this year we've been kind of, able to plug in a guy to be able to play. And, we're not playing a ton of young kids this year. I think that's the other part of it. We do have a couple of sophomores and freshmen out there, and the old adage goes for every freshman or sophomore that you start a game that you lose at the varsity level. So, we really have a great senior class, and I think the stronger team, the numbers really have given us the foundation to move forward and positive. And I really feel good about the future. I mean, if I walked away right now and said, "Hey, here's the keys to the car, whoever were to take this program," there's a good group of kids coming in. The culture's right. The stability of anything from equipment to the plan is good. So things are going in the right direction here at Oak Hills, and it's not if you could say this, but it's exciting to be 5-5. I mean, for our kids going up to play Springboro, who's an outstanding program. The energy level here is great. I mean, we're talking about trying to find ways to get our fans up to the game and the excitement of playing a playoff game that realistically we can be competitive in. I think, we played Mark last year at Moeller, and we snuck in that last spot. And I'll be honest with you, we always prepare to win, but truthfully, we knew going into the Moeller game last year with a backup quarterback and having to play a freshman quarterback that we weren't going to win that game, but we wanted to play hard and play with a level to earn respect. And I think that's the other piece too, out of all this. We just want to change the ideology that, Oak Hills kids are just soft and they're quitters and, they're, No, I don't want to mention the other school, but they don't have some of those same intangibles as some of the other West Side schools that are successful. And for us, it's nothing about anybody else. It's just us trying to earn respect and be tougher and improve on that. And the Moeller game last year, we weren't great, but I think we earned some respect from the blue and gold team and Coach Elder. And I think that just kind of segued into a great offseason into, us being in every game this year. That's the other thing too. We could have lost some of those games that we won. We could have won, possibly the Colerain game if a ball bounces here or this and that. And when you have a team and a program where you don't win, we like to make everything interesting. We can't stand prosperity, whether we go ahead and go down the field on Friday night in the first series and you feel really good about our offense, and then we can't figure out anything after that moment. And you just go, how can a group of kids be so successful and then look like they have no idea just a few moments later? Then you realize again that they're kids, and this winning thing is not something that, they've done a lot, but the confidence that we can, trust each other and the loyalty to each other that we will find a way. And that's all attributed to the off season and the culture and the coaches and heck, the community itself. So it's good.
Well, obviously, Coach, for a lot of teams, there's a 24-hour rule where you get to celebrate a victory. But tell me about when your team found out that you were in the playoffs and that you were going to play at Springboro this Friday night.
I was very upfront with our kids going into the game in regard to, hey, if you lose this game, there's a good probability that you're not going to be in. But if you win, you can be as high. I think the Harbin's had us as high up as 9. So I think we just sold the kids that, you go out here and you have a great performance on Friday, that you give yourself a much more winnable game. I think that was part of it too, to tell our kids, there are some teams on the top of the Harbins that athletically are superior to us that, would be we'd have to play a really darn good game to win. So I think we went into the game saying, hey, you win this and things happen, you're going to find yourself in a situation where you're going to play somebody that, you can compete against realistically. And then honestly, we gave the kids off Saturday and Sunday. We didn't have them come in. I gave our coaches off Saturday. That has nothing to do with us, not preparing. I think we absolutely prepare as hard as anybody else. But I will tell you that in all my years of coaching, you need a break. Kids need a break, and the intensity level the last few weeks in our conference, kids were beat up. I think the idea today that we'll come in Monday, we will get back to the grind and we'll watch film. We'll have a great lift here, 7th bell today. I think that brings back the energy. You can already feel the kids, kind of talking about, our opponent a little bit, because it is somebody they don't know much about. So they're curious, like any young man is, on who they're going to play against. So as far as the preparations go, it was a week of rest for everybody. I went and I watched my niece run cross country. I did some things around the house and, took a 2-minute break from football to just, be husband and dad. And I think, again, that goes back to the cultural piece, and any good coach will tell you that's been around for a while. You got to have that healthy balance between football and family and faith. And if you football it out, then you take away from the other two. And at the end of the day, that's not what we're about. So the kids will get their scout report today, and we'll get the juices flowing, and we'll get ready for Friday night.
Well, who's really playing well for you on both sides of the ball right now?
Man, our defense is a group of just no-name kids that have just been fantastic. We're undersized. Our DBs are 3 of the 4 DBs are under 5'10". We nicknamed them the Piranhas, but they are tackling really, really well in the back half. Max Rhodes is a true 9th grader. He leads us in tackles. He plays the inside Mike, Sam linebacker in our scheme, and he's been outstanding. Cooper Harrison, the other young, dumb sophomore, if you want to call it, is playing the other linebacker, and Jimmy Breeze. Like, those defensively, it's a group of kids, and Luke Barkley that are we play a very bend but don't break style of defense, and it's assignment based. When those kids do what they're supposed to do, we tend to kind of bend a little, and then we find ways to get off the field. So I give a ton of credit to our defense, and then lastly, Jackson Schreiber, our quarterback. Jackson is goodness gracious. I'm not going to lie to you, he could make some better decisions, but man, is he a competitor. He wants the ball in his hand. He was playing some free safety for us, coming up there and knocking the snot out of some kids. And I'm cringing every time he's running up there because he's not in there to tackle anybody. He's in there to knock the ball down or intercept it. So we'll go as far as Jackson takes us offensively and those wide receivers. And, hopefully we play a little bit better that side of the ball this week. But I'm confident in our kids, coaching staff, and we'll represent Oak Hills well Friday night, and we'll play hard for the GMC and take another step forward for this program. Springboro has an outstanding quarterback. They have an outstanding offense. They are really physical. I've had a chance to talk to a couple of their coaches, and they are. If I have to categorize them as close to anybody, Mason is a good comparison because they're not going to jump off the screen as far as size and things like that. But man, are they really well coached, and they're really, really physical. And I have fears about them just knocking us off the ball because of their strength up front. But they are great on the defensive side of the ball, particularly up front. Quarterback, they throw it all over the place. So we are nervous about how good they are. They play in a great conference in the GWAC against some great programs like Centerville and Wayne. So I know well enough that they're definitely battle tested. And anytime you can play, particularly a great Elder team like this year, and be a play or two away from beating Elder, then that you're playing somebody that's outstanding and well coached. So we have a heck of a challenge. We got a long bus ride. It'll be loud there. And I can't wait. It'll be great. It'll be a great deal of fun for us, and we'll take some red and black apparel up that way, and we'll scream and cheer, and we'll represent the West Side well.
Well, you mentioned the red and black there, Coach. I mean, what was it like going into school today? What was it like around the hallways?
Yeah, so it's nice for our kids, I think, more than anything, to have them say, "Hey, good job Friday night. Hey, well done." I think they, when again it goes back, not to beat a dead horse, but when people kind of expect you to lose, when you've been part of a losing culture, then you don't get those simple and small little intangible pats on the back and the people telling you how much fun this play was or how much fun that play was. Or I get stopped in the hall by teacher aides and security and secretaries, tell me great game Friday night. And I like to smile back and say, hey, I didn't play. I didn't do anything, but it's good. Anyone will tell you that selfishly, football is a pulse for your school. And when your football program does well, the heart and the soul of the school beats a little bit stronger and a little bit louder. And the band, was thumping Friday morning. And then, I'll go get a sandwich here in a little bit. I'm sure someone at the store will have a comment or two about, the success of our kids and our school. And that's well earned and well deserved. So the pulse here and the energy is good. We have a big soccer game tomorrow night for our girls as they take on St. Ursula. And so there's a lot of good things going on right now. Our cross country team had an outstanding day this Saturday that I got a chance to sneak out and watch. I want to make sure I give props to all our athletic programs here in the fall, but things are good here on the west side of Oak Hills, and we're excited to keep carrying it on.
Well, after I recorded this interview with Coach Roden on Monday, I had some sad news to pass along. His mother passed away earlier this week, and we want to send our sincere condolences to Coach Roden and the entire Oak Hills football family for the passing of Coach Roden's mother. And he plans to coach on Friday night at Springboro, but certainly everybody with a heavy heart there as the Highlanders prepare for a playoff game. And they were in the playoffs last year, as I mentioned, but take away a couple of the past few seasons, this would be one of the playoff journeys that they certainly will remember in turning around the program from 0-11 to 5-5 this season. So again, our thoughts and prayers with everybody at Oak Hills. But speaking of turnarounds, the Western Hills High School football program is in the postseason for the first time since the 2000 season. The Mustangs were 1-6 in 2021, but I had an opportunity to catch up with West High coach Charles Boyd this week, and he talked about how the Mustangs had a big victory, 32-0 over Aiken in the regular season finale, and how they're embracing this postseason moment.
it's always nice to win. Those things are too hard to come by, not to enjoy every one of them. It's nice to go out on a good note. We hadn't played well in the last few weeks, and that's totally on me. That's my job to get us ready. But, we found a way to get it done that last game, send the seniors on the right note, and try not to talk about the playoffs that much because we have a 24-hour rule. Win or lose, 24-hour rule. And we try to stick to that because I knew we would have some tough times, moving ahead. And I wanted to make sure that we could refocus. So we get 24 hours, and now we've been talking about, like, soon as that game time ended, because kids keep track of when games end. And as soon as that time hits, they're in the group chat going for next week. So they were pretty excited yesterday about 8 o'clock about, the opportunity being in the playoffs for the first time. And, we really didn't speak on it a whole lot other than we get another chance to play. The one thing we talked about once we knew we had a legit chance of being there was I tried to explain to them, no matter how we got in, we're in. And that I was a part of a Western Hills program that was always pretty much towards the top, and we never made it to the playoffs. And, no matter what the requirements were at that time, we didn't meet those requirements. And these happen to be the requirements for you guys now, and you meet them. So let's not get caught up on, it's 16 teams now versus 8 or whatever. Whatever the requirements were, you met them, and, take some pride in that, because that's something that I never accomplished at Westside. So that was the one conversation we had about the playoffs. Once it was pretty much like we were going to be in there between 10 and 16, we had that one conversation because I knew there would be some chatter about, how you got there and et cetera. And that's the one conversation we've had up to this point about it.
Well, Coach, you being a 1997 Western Hills graduate, what does this mean to you to have a resurgence within the Mustangs program, given that Western Hills didn't play in the playoffs in 2020?
It's exciting. It's exciting, but it's also, from my view, you have to understand that we didn't play our best all year. And look where we are now versus where we could have been. And as much as we try to talk about the moment we're in and moving forward, I think we're all human and we get caught up in those, one more play here, one better call there, maybe if we prepare it different there. So, I am definitely excited that we're moving in the right direction. Wish we'd have did some things different, but I'm really more excited about these seniors, that they got the opportunity to be the ones to turn this thing around.
Well, who's really played well for you, Coach, on both sides of the ball?
So Omar Beckley, senior quarterback, has been outstanding the entire year. Darrell Davis has played extremely well on both sides of the ball. Isaiah Camp has ran the ball extremely well. Unfortunately, we lost probably one of our best dynamic both sides of the ball players in Rasan Hutchinson, Taft week. So we lost a little bit of firepower there. But up until that point, he had been playing extremely well. I think he led us in touchdowns up until that point. So the O-line is coming along, being led by Tadon Maxberry. And, it's a collective effort. With the exception of Omar, we're a collective group. Senior Anthony Sutherland is playing lights out, playing DB and receiver. And, we take a lot of reps. So, for us, they're doing it on both sides of the ball, which, it's going to be tough for us moving forward. But you got to give these guys, hats off to them for being in the shape they're in and competing the way that they are.
Well, obviously, Milford is known for its high-powered offense led by head coach Tom Grippa. What have you seen on film from the Eagles?
Well, I played against Coach Grippa, but I'm aging myself. When I was at West High, he was at Elder. I think my senior year was his last year. So, they're high-powered. Everybody touches the ball on offense, which is a problem. It's not like you can focus on one person. They move the ball around extremely well. They're very balanced in what they do, and they're going to take what they give you. They're not going to force anything from what I've noticed so far. And, so we have to be extremely sound in what we're doing and be prepared for everything. Defensively, they fly around and get to the ball. I mean, Coach Grippa's been at this a long time, so they're going to be a very well-coached ball club, and, they're going to, it's going to be a big task for us, a big task.
Coach, what have you told the players about playing on the road in the playoffs, especially in an environment that's going to favor the Eagles?
For some reason, we're extremely well on the road. I think we're 1-4 on the road or something like that this year, and we find a way on the road. So on the road for us isn't the big deal. It's who we're seeing on the road this time. So we will talk about the atmosphere, having some composure and not getting caught up in the moment. Some things that we do already. Not sure that we need it at this point, but we play music at practice and try to get, it's more so for the offense. We try to use hand signals and communicate on defense. We have certain days of the week we make the coaches get off the field. So everything's signaled in and things like that. And I don't want to say that it was in preparation for these moments. I think it's just the way that I had been used to coaching in some of the environments that I had been in, and that's just how we did it, and that's just how we continue to do it then. And also, it gives you an opportunity to see what the kids know when you're not on the field. So, we try to put them in some adverse situations to prepare them for certain moments. But again, we're human, and they haven't seen anything like this yet. So it's going to be a big shock and eye opener for them. And hopefully, the moment's not too big for them.
Coach, you mentioned the seniors and Darrell and Omar. And what have you seen in the eyes of your players about this opportunity to be in the postseason?
They don't say much because they know we have a in the moment rule. But when we came in after the game against Aiken, Omar couldn't stop smiling. So I knew he wanted to say something, but I knew he knew that our rule is live in this moment, 24 hours. So I'm sure today I'm going to hear it from Omar and all those guys, especially that group of seniors. I'm going to hear it from them today. So as of now, nothing. They haven't said anything to me, at least. What they're saying, I know that they have an outside group chat that I'm not a part of, so who knows what they're talking about in there. But as far as the group chat I'm in, it's strictly business, and they didn't start speaking about the playoffs until yesterday.
Well, Coach, obviously you've experienced ups and downs this entire season, but what's been the most rewarding part of coaching the Mustangs in 2022?
Being at home, being back at West High is the most important part for me. My players would tease me every now and again, because even when we were having that stretch of those 3 games we were losing and not playing well, we still had fun. And I rode them pretty hard, but we still had fun, and we were our same relaxed, loose selves or whatever around the program. And they would say, bet you we're back in Moeller right now. And I would tell them I left Moeller on my own, because Moeller's number one. I said, I left Moeller on my own. Me and Coach Elder speak weekly. So, there's no bad blood there. I'm where I want to be. So just being back at West High, I can't even say installing the tradition back in them, because they've accomplished something I never accomplished this year. So, and something I've learned, you don't know everything. And I didn't want to be that guy that thought he knew everything and tried to coach every position. And you realize that, you have to lean on your coaches sometimes, a lot of times. And I hope I'm not a dictator, and that, everybody has a say in what we do and how we go about things. And, I try to be open about that. And I have a couple of older guys on my staff, and not necessarily older, but more seasoned than me as far as their high school experiences. And one being my old coach, who was my coordinator at West High. And, every now and again, he'll pull me to the side and say something. And even if I buck at the moment, I definitely tuck it in my back pocket to go home and reset and rethink what he's talking about, and understand that, I don't have all the answers. So, the biggest thing for me is knowing that being fair, everybody will be treated fairly, but everybody won't be equal, if that makes sense. And that's kind of where we are with some things, like I said, with everything in the program. That's the biggest thing for me. And I'll say this, Mr. Mike Dyer, is that you can't put your emotions on everybody else. If I could say anything else, I think that would be the biggest thing for me, that not everybody's going to approach the game the same as I did. The game is different. The way that you go about coaching is different. The game is evolving, and that's a good thing. But you can't put the way that you prepared, the way that you did things as a player, and other experience you have on everybody. Let everybody be individuals, and hopefully collectively together you can come together and make something special. So I think that's the biggest adjustment for me.
Well, Western Hills is the number 10 seed, and they're going to be playing at Milford this Friday night, and certainly a big moment for both of those programs, but especially for Coach Boyd. He's a 1997 Western Hills graduate, former Moeller assistant coach. I remember talking to him back at our preseason podcast there at the Chick-fil-A on Glenway Avenue in Western Hills, and he just talked about how this meant so much to him to return to a place that he played football and has so many great memories, and he's really turning things around, obviously, for the Mustangs right now. But before I go any further in this episode, I want to remind you this High School Insider podcast is presented by our local Chick-fil-A restaurants, where the winning play is always chicken. Make sure you download the app today for easy ordering. Well, let me switch gears now to Division III Region 12. Undefeated Badin has a 10-0 regular season record for the first time since 1980. The Rams, the 2021 Division III state runner-up, play host to Woodward on Friday night at Hamilton. This is a 1-16 matchup. I had a chance to catch up with Badin coach Nick Yordy, and he talked about how significant this Rams undefeated regular season was.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's significant. I think every team in the state, sets goals, and it's always, to try to win your league and try to go undefeated, those type of things, and get to the postseason. And we've done that. We really didn't focus on it a whole lot. We didn't talk about, how long it's been a whole lot or anything like that. It was just the same kind of motto we've done the past couple of years. Let's just take this thing 1 week at a time here, and let's keep it rolling. And once you kind of get going, a little bit more pressure, especially when you get into league play. But kids stepped up and played really well.
Well, obviously a 10-0 record speaks for itself, Coach, but I know your goals are much higher. I mean, was there a turning point for the Rams this season? Can you talk about that?
No, I think just our off season in general. We had a great year last year, and we lost a lot of seniors. And, I don't think a lot of people, thought we were going to be in this position that we're in right now after the regular season. So I'm just proud of our kids for staying focused, staying locked in, and kind of sticking with our plan here and continuing to win. And that's our goal, and just keep it going, man.
Well, Coach, obviously over 500 yards of total offense there in that regular season finale against McNicholas. You had players like Carter Russo, Braden Moore, your junior quarterback Alex Ritzy really stand out. How consistent have those guys been for you?
Yeah, they're playing real well, and I've been fortunate enough. I think I have great coaches here every week. Offensively, defensively, special teams wise, has been doing really well. So I'm fortunate in that, and fortunate enough to have some really good football players on this team. So. They're going out. We don't put a whole lot of pressure on them. We just tell them kind of go out and do what you do. And there's guys across the board. Our offensive line has stepped up. We've had some injuries. We've had some guys going both ways, those type of things throughout the whole season. And then when you have guys like Braden and Alex and Carter that are playing at a high level, and then it kind of opens some things up for a guy like Austin Buck on the outside. Quinn Brennan's been involved a lot. Carson Cheek. I mean, these guys are on offense that have really just stepped up, and we needed them to this year, and they've done that.
What did you tell the guys about getting ready for the postseason? What's been your message to them?
Just stay locked in, stay focused. Let's stick to our plan. We're not changing anything. It's the playoffs. We kind of divide our season up. We have the first half of our non-conference games, and for us that's 5. So it's the first 5 weeks, and then the second 5 weeks are our conference play, and we kind of divide that in half. And now it's a whole new season. There's a lot more pressure week after week now. We just got to be relaxed, be focused, and go out there and get this job done 1 week at a time.
What do you know about Woodward for this Friday night?
Athletic, very athletic. They got some size there. A little bit of familiarity with some of the coaches. There's one assistant coach. I used to be at Fenwick. I think Coach Flug over there as well. And just, they're doing well. They're having a nice season. They're 5-5 right now, and like to throw the ball quite a bit. And if we're not prepared for that challenge, week 1 of the playoffs, and everybody wanting to beat you, then we could be in trouble.
Coach, how proud are you of that 5th consecutive GCL co-ed title?
Yeah, I again, credit to the kids. Credit to our strength coach. Coach Cheek does a good job getting these guys ready. And like I said, I get the kids on the bus on time. That's about all I do. The kids are going out there. They're making plays. They're playing at a high level right now. Our coaches are getting them ready to go. I'm pleased where the program is from when we started to where we are now. And we've changed the expectation around here a little bit, and the kids understand that, and they really bought into it, and that's what we do, and that's kind of our goals. That's our expectation week after week.
Well, Badin is 41-6 since the start of the 2019 season. That includes a 28-game regular season win streak. So the Rams obviously capturing the 5th consecutive GCL co-ed championship this year, and a lot of great things happening for the Rams program. You could just tell. I was out there this summer, had the chip on their shoulders. They really, had a kind of a bitter taste in their mouth after that loss to Chardon in the state final a year ago. But this is a team that is certainly focused, and I think they're going to make a deep run here in the playoffs. But let's move over to Division 5, Region 20. I had a chance to catch up with Summit Country Day coach David Wirth. The Silver Knights play host to number 9 Blanchester this Friday night, and Summit clinched that home playoff game with a 43-27 win over Purcell Marion in the regular season finale. And Coach Wirth talked about that momentum in that win over Purcell and how much it means to host a first-round game.
Well, you always want to finish the regular season with as much momentum as you can, especially in our case. We had dropped the last 2 in the conference. Had a tough one at CHCA and then did not play well at all against Roger Bacon last week. So, knowing that we had in all likelihood the opportunity to make the playoffs, regardless of the seeding, you want to generate some momentum going into that postseason. So I feel fortunate and lucky that we were able to do that and get a good win over a good team. I mean, Purcell's going to be the 11th seed. And certainly not going to be an easy win for whoever they're playing. I think they might be playing Brookville again like they did a few years ago. So they're a real good team, and we feel lucky to come out of that game with a win and healthy.
Well, tell us a little bit about your team this year. And obviously, I think a lot of things center around, at least offensively, around your senior quarterback, Alex Davis. Tell us a little bit about him and how it works so well.
Certainly with what we do offensively, Alex is the key cog in the wheel. He's got a lot to handle each game in terms of what he has to know and the kind of checks that he has to make and what he's looking for. And this being his second year in the system, certainly, an advantage for us that he's back there. He's incredibly tough, physically and mentally. He's a very, very good athlete and can throw pretty well. So he's a really, really good combination for us in terms of what we're trying to do. He's certainly a dual threat kind of kid. So teams got to be smart and they got to be cautious with how they rush him and how they pressure him, because he can take off at any second on real long runs. And yet you can also get into some situations where, you're in short yardage and you can use him as a second back. And that makes it really challenging for defenses. So yeah, he's been a great player for us all year. He's ended up at a little over 2,400 yards passing, and about 400 yards rushing, 30 total touchdowns. So certainly been extremely productive and was great last night against Purcell. On the perimeter, we have 2 receivers that have been really phenomenal this year. Each one, they might end up 1 and 2 in the MVC. One of those being Jake Carrico, who's going to end up with about 54 receptions and 860 yards. And the other one, Braden Austin, who's another senior as well, who was a track state champ in the spring, who's really had a great senior year. He's going to end up just over 800 yards. I think each of them are probably around that 10 touchdown mark. So, and we got some other guys out there too that have a bunch of yards and a bunch of catches, a bunch of touchdowns. Alex does a good job distributing the ball. And we got 2 tough backs, so if teams just want to line up on the perimeter against us, that will make it hard for them on the inside, and vice versa if they want to jam the box. Like everybody, you go in the game, you try and have answers for all those scenarios, and, kids got to go out there and play it, right?
Definitely. How about defensively? I mean, obviously looking at your junior safety, Donovan Matthews, 5 interceptions on the season.
Yeah,
Donovan's on that side of the ball.
Yeah, Donovan certainly leads the charge in the secondary. He had another big one last night. Actually had a touchdown and a 2-point conversion on offense as well, so contributing on both sides. We lost Donovan early in his sophomore year last year against Reading in that 21 season. Had a bad ankle injury and was out all year and had a long, lengthy rehab process. So it was exciting to get him back. We knew he was going to be a heck of a player for us. He's a very good safety against the pass and even better against the run. We have a couple good ones. Jake Carrico does double duty and is one of the best strong safeties I've ever coached. He is in any game we play, where, sometimes you look at it, the roster lineups and how you match up and you think, okay, well, they got this kid and they got that kid. He's always our apple versus apple matchup. He can tackle anybody in space. So he does a great job in the secondary as well. We got 2 good corners. One of those being a long, lean young kid named Caleb Walters, who had a huge interception last night and a couple big catches as a receiver. Linebacker, we got a bunch of guys playing. Senior Eric Deal has done a really, really good job for us as an outside linebacker, helping us set good edges and being a physical guy and defending the pass. So has Lorenzo Rose, who had a big interception last night to seal the game at the end. And then we got a bunch of small, really quick, athletic guys on D-line, probably led by our junior Graham Hodge, who's the one who certainly looks the part the most. But they're just a bunch of really, really scrappy kids that are, probably don't pass the eyeball test real well when you line up and look at our defense. But most of the time, have ended up doing a pretty good job for us.
What's it like coaching this team? Just the vibe day to day. I mean, how enjoyable has it been?
They're a fun team. We're low in numbers. We're Summit's a unique school, a unique community. So we don't have 50 kids playing football. We got 25 to 30 kids playing football, and the kids that are out playing really want to play, and they give great effort. The personality changes from year to year, obviously, as your senior classes take over, and Alex certainly and Jake lead the charge with the personality in this senior class. But they've been a lot of fun, and they do everything you ask. They might be physically imperfect, and you like to have a few more guys to be a little bigger here or there, but they are a athletic, tough-minded, tough-nosed team.
And what do you know about this Blanchester team from what you've seen on film, or I assume you've already scouted them?
Yeah, they're big and physical for sure. They're really, really big and physical. So I'm sure that they're going to want to get downhill run on us and try and use their size to their advantage and line up foot to foot and 4 yards in a cloud of dust. But they usually are getting 8 to 10. They have coach's son is a really, really good player, quarterback for him. They have one of the best running backs in the SBAC of the last couple of years as well. So they certainly have 2 to 3 guys in the backfield that can give you fits. Like I said, a big offensive line. So for us to buckle down and hang in up front is going to be huge, and try and put them in situations where they got to throw the ball, and that would certainly be more towards our advantage. That being said, we got to score early on offense. We can't waste a lot of possessions because they are certainly dangerous and potent offense themselves. So it's I like to think there's tough matchups on both end of it. It's an 8-9 seed, right? It's one of those matchups. Just like you talk about the NCAA tournament and other scenarios. I mean, it should be a heck of a ball game, and we're excited to be hosting it, and just excited to be back in the playoffs and have one more game to play.
Yeah, you're telling me off camera a little bit about hosting a first round game. How significant is that? Because I realize going back to 2020 that was a season that occurred, but other than that, this is a significant thing for the school. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, when we before the game, when we figured out exactly that this could pan out this way, we were really playing for either an 8 seed in a home game or an 11 seed in a travel game. It certainly upped the ante at the coin toss, and kids were really excited. I think they felt like this is a real viable opportunity, and it's not just a wish and a hope and a prayer. So when we figured out as we got that win how this thing was going to settle out, I think everybody was pretty excited about it. All the way from our administration all the way down to the guys that are going to be helping us with the chain crew. That have been doing it for so many years here. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Should be a great atmosphere. And, got obviously a very good team coming in. So we got a lot of work to do between now and Friday, but certainly going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it.
Well, certainly anytime in the first round of the playoffs, you're looking for those 8-9 matchups, and that's going to be a game to watch. Summit and Blanchester. As I mentioned, our WCPO 9 game of the week is going to be Fairfield and St. Xavier. Ross and Northwest. How about that game in Division II, Region 8? That's another 8-9 matchup to watch as well. A few other games I'm keeping my eye on as we prepare for Friday. How about Coleraine and Mason? Mason defeated Coleraine for the first time in program history during this regular season, so that is going to be interesting to see those two GMC teams match up there in Mason. As I mentioned, Western Hills and Milford. How about LaSalle getting in the playoffs basically off that 1-point win from Dunbar over Dayton Belmont on Saturday night that gave them enough points to get to that number 16 seed. They're going to face Winton Woods there at Charlie Frederick Stadium. This is the third consecutive season these teams have met in the playoffs, so that will certainly be one to watch as well. And let's go over to Madeira here in Division 5. Gamble Montessori coming off its first conference championship in the football program's history. They're looking for their first playoff win now, and they travel over to meet the Mustangs there in Madeira. So we'll have a ton of coverage for you this weekend. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Mike Dyer. Be sure to check us out on WCPO.com and also WCPO 9 Sports. Thanks again for listening and watching. I'll talk to you next week.